Hi everybody, welcome to Smell What's Cooking. Today we're going to be making a mushroom risotto. Now, risotto gets a bad rap. I mean, it's so hard to make, you gotta stir it constantly. It's a little more effort than a lot of dishes I make, but you can get this one. It's not too tough. Check it out. Alright, so for our mushroom risotto, we're going to start with some mushrooms. I have some shiitake mushrooms here. Really beautiful. Which I got from my local produce purveyor. Now these, you don't want to eat these stems. These are, the stems are no bueno. You want to eat the caps. Now I'm just going to slice these up. Now, I'm going to show you to make this. I was on a cruise, and Chef Jeffrey Zakarian was on it because he had a restaurant on the boat. And he showed a good way to make risotto. Making it pretty simple. One of the key points he had was, no matter what kind of risotto you have, be it mushroom or a seafood risotto, you should cook your addition separately from the actual risotto itself. Because what happens is, if you cook it all together, you just end up with some poorly cooked seafood, especially seafood. A seafood risotto, invariably you end up with a rubbery batch of seafood. But vegetables, I know I like to do mushroom and asparagus, but if you try to cook it in the rice, it's always a mistake. So what we're going to do is we're heating up a little bit of butter there, and we're going to pop our mushrooms in there and let them saute for a minute. We're going to cook them a good 3/4 of the way through. They're in there. Give them a little bit of salt and a little bit of fresh pepper. Another key part to the risotto is your leek. Now here's a leek, looking all leakish. Now we're not going to use, the good parts of it are all the way up to about here. This is great to make a vegetable stock out of. So we're going to chop that off, and we'll do that with it later. Now leeks grow in a very, very sandy soil. So I think I'm going to use about half of one here. So I'm going to cut off what I'm going to use here. Then I'm going to split it. So now that I have it split, you can see all these little layers that are in the leeks, right? All those little layers love to hold sand because they grow in sandy soil. So now I'm going to dice these finely. Well, not dice them, just slice them off rather. I have some cold water here. I'm just going to float them in there. Now, they'll stay on the top. And you put them in here. They'll stay in, the leeks will stay on the top. And the sand will go to the bottom. So you just kind of put them in. And let them all get separated in the pool here. Alright. So they're getting clean. Our shrooms are shrooming. Move them around a little bit. Alright, they're almost all the way cooked to where I want them. I have a clove of garlic here, which I'm going to chop up nice and fine. Alright. So we got the mushrooms. They're all set. I'm going to reserve them till later. We'll take our same hot pan. Gonna add a little bit more butter to it. We're gonna add some olive oil. Now we're gonna put our leeks in. You could put these through a colander. I really don't think that's really super necessary. As long as you float them around a little bit, all the soot will be on the bottom, and we left with nothing but goodness here. So there you go, in they go. That little bit of water is going to flash off in a heartbeat, so don't even worry about it. Try to make this as easy as we possibly can here. Alright. Now we're going to get that sauteed and get that softened. It's going to cook for about 2 or 3 minutes. Going to season the leeks with a little bit of salt. Some pepper on them. We're just going to let them soften up. Now here at this point, we're going to get ready to add our rice. Now what we're using is arborio rice. Now arborio rice is a Italian short grain rice with a very high starch content. Like all rice, it's gluten free, so this is a nice gluten friendly dish too. And I have a half cup here. And as we cook, you can see it looks a lot different than, say, the Carolina brand rice that you might make for dinner. It's a little bit of a shorter, and it ends up being a little bit of a fatter kernel when it's done. So I have a half cup here, and put it in here. And we have it in here with the leeks and with the oil, because the idea is that we're going to kind of toast the rice. And by toasting the rice, it's going to make it absorb this liquid a little bit quicker. So we're going to get all the liquid off those leeks gone, and we're going to toast the rice like this for about 2 or 3 minutes. Now's a good time to throw in that clove of garlic. Now, because, you know, this is not a garlic dish. We're just putting a little bit of it in there as a flavor. The leeks are your big, big flavor bomb here. Alright, we're going to let that toast for about a minute. Okay, you'll start to hear a little bit of a crunch here. You'll hear it sizzle and start to crackle. And the rice will almost start to clink together. And that's when you know that you're there. It won't be stuck together at all. This will really make sure the rice cooks a little bit slower and really is slow to release that starch, because it's going to throw that starch into this dish as we go. The next step is to take a little bit of wine. I have a blush wine here, but a little bit of white wine is really ideal. This is what I have open. And we're going to put that on just a couple tablespoons. And that'll cook off real quick. Keep your heat nice and hot through this. All right. Now, we start to add the stock. I have a mushroom stock, which I've had boiling back here in my back burner. This is important, because you don't ever want to stop the cooking process by adding your stock. So I have about medium heat going here. And we're going to do this in hopefully maybe only 2 or 3 additions. So I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 good ladlefuls. Give it a little stir. And just let this simmer. And we're going to leave it on medium-low heat. This is why we're using a big saucepan, so it cooks a little quicker. The big fry pan, rather. Saute pan. And we're going to let this go and just let it sit. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to stir it. Wait for this liquid to go away. Alright? So I'll come back and talk to you again when that goes away. Okay, so we're going to give it a stir. See, most of that liquid's absorbed. I'm going to put another couple ladlefuls in here. And we're just going to go back to it then, and just let that cook. Okay, here we are through the second addition, and you can see how creamy looking this looks, and that stock has picked up a lot of that starch. Now we're going to check our rice for doneness now and see where we're at cooking wise. Total time of the video right now is 25 minutes, so that includes me talking and the rice cooking. And the rice right now is tender and al dente, so we are set. Gonna finish this puppy up here. So I'd say that the cook time on the rice is about 16-17 minutes or so, but you want to check it. It's always going to be a little bit different, so taste it. Now after tasting it, I feel like I need some more pepper. Alright, I'm going to add some parsley. I say some for garnish, but I like some for flavor. And then here is where we make the risotto creamy. Since it's done, we're gonna turn off the heat, and we're gonna add our cheese. Now, I have grana padano cheese here. It looks like a lot, but it's very finely grated. It's about 2 pieces that are this size. So it's really not as much as it looks. And you want to do it in a couple of additions because you want it to cream in. We have the fire off. And this is what's going to give the risotto its creaminess. That and a little bit of butter in the end. So this is where the stirring comes in. This is the stirring that's not optional. But that whole slaving over the stove for 25 minutes to make risotto, that is certainly optional because that's not necessary one little bit. Alright, now see how this is becoming thicker and thicker? Our rice is still cooking even though we turned off the heat. I still have a little bit of stock if I need it. If I feel like it's getting too tight. I'm going to add the rest of our cheese. And stir it, stir it, stir it, stir it. And it is thick and creamy without having any lumps or gobs of cheese in it. And now right here at the end, we're going to give it its little finisher, which is a knob of butter. Just going to chunk that in there. And stir that in and keep it moving. All that residual heat is going to be all that you need. And remember, I cooked those mushrooms beforehand, so they would be cooked perfectly the way I want them. And we cream the rest of that butter in, and we have a beautiful, creamy risotto. Now, you can either stir these mushrooms in or serve them on top. I think I'm going to just put them on top. Into our bowl. Add our mushrooms. I guess we can stir them in as they like. And we'll garnish it with just a little bit of that green parsley. And there you go. Easy mushroom risotto. Creamy and delicious. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe for more great videos that come out every Tuesday.